Everyone, welcome here to the Realistic Performance League at the Le Mans Ultimate Series here. Continue on fourth. We're approaching over to week 4. The Italian leg of the calendar is done, and following from our fantastic start over at Qatar, we're going over now to Portimao, continue on through for our European leg. Of course, very interesting that we've previously had seen back over at the previous round in Imola. Been a very hectic one in that, which is saw a new race winner, I believe. So that is all indeed very interesting. You can just see here onto the tower screens, 8 minutes of qualifying has already begun. Had problems with the overlays. Apologies for that, viewers. But currently, as it now stands, Phil Bailey currently sets through the fastest lap now, a 1:33.0, which is indeed very good for him. Followed by George Williams, next one out with he will be in second place, 33.7. So it seems to be coming through to his specialty now. For the man that's always been best of the rest now, maybe going to be cemented up here as a real title challenger here, as TL Barrett now goes for the line, and he will be just about 3/10 off from pole position and 2/10 off away from George, so indeed splitting the two green cars as it stands. Cameron Fields, as we usually see, typically very strong for qualifying, is currently in fourth at the minute, just about 3/4 of a second away from Phil Bailey, that has set his lap time now. So indeed, all very, very interesting. So that'll be going to be interesting to see what else we're going to go through. Expecting Alex Norris, Jack Hughes and Navarro to go through. I think that was Navarro that just went off track. If we'll see on board, yeah, it was indeed Navarro, but manages to keep it on through. Did see 11 cars participating during practice, so I'm wondering if we're going to get that same amount of popularity over coming through to qualifying, or at least during for the race. 11 minutes left to go through qualifying now as it stands, but let's just have a look for detention now. Back over to Josh Hughes. I think Cameron Fields is just gently approaching over 3:33.0 on through to the first sector. We'll have the qualifying information up for you guys, and we can just see there Tia Barrett has gone across the line. No improvements from him there, but Cameron Fields, strongest man for qualifying, needs to find a good way to form. Is there going to be anything up here? Going to go for across the line. New pole position, and a very quick one at that, 1:32.8. So, oh goodness me, a bit of a spin there for a bit of good measure there from the Kiwi driver. It's still pretty good for him. Joe McLaughlin, new debutant here in the RPL. He's going to don the well, the very prestigious Aston Martin Valkyrie. That's I don't think has achieved a race win for the prototypes, but gives one heck of an engine sound at least. So that'll be all good news there for Joe. I think we've seen Josh Hughes now set a new fastest time, and that will be very strong, 1:32.6 for one this time round, about 1/10 off from another his teammate in Cameron. So Hughes and Cameron are going to go throughout once again. I think Hughes has been the man that scored the most amount of race wins, so indeed a lot through to play for. Indeed, for Hughes. As I could just see, looking over through the rest of them, Navarro is going to be starting through his first flying lap, usually in the midst through the midfield, but can't really quite deliver it. But there could be a bit of a difference here, as we're going to see through Navarro. He'll be able to go for across the line. It's purple all around, so we're expecting a jump up and through up into 6th, just about off from the provisional lap time through Ops Williams. I think that'll maybe be it for the people doing qualifying, so we're going to see people maybe improve more and more. Woodmansey is in the pits. I think that was George Williams is going to go for another fly lap now. Hughes is going to start another lap through to his. He's pushed it up to 2 tenths away from his teammate, who in turn is about 2 tenths away from Phil. So, going to be quite interesting to see how between these two will develop. Tion Barrett navigating through the final sector. It's done pretty good in the Porsche. Actually been pretty good qualifying wise. He's relatively picked up his form. I think in a relatively similar race position that Barrett has been on. I will read over through the Twitch as per usual. So if any of you want to drop down for a comment, feel free to say hello, and I will read over through your messages back, and in all nice and good session. Hype. Tion Barrett, I think that was a purple for the first sector, which is quite impressive if that really was to be the case, but it just seems to be about 2 tenths off. Hughes, meanwhile, what's he going to be? Purple for the first sector, although 4 tenths clear from his fastest, but is now net 1 tenth off from his second sector. Could be ways to improve through the third sector if he's able to do so. I think we have seen drivers previously before in RPL manage to get pole positions with yellow sectors, but this will really cement Josh Hughes' time, and does it so? Yes, it does, and 32.5, and that will push it off by just about 5/100ths of a second away from his teammate Cameron Fields. That means that Cameron Fields now has to try and find 3 tenths rather than 2.5 tenths. Yeah, Kai Francis, another new driver, late through to the party in the another Porsche this time, so join alongside Tion Barrett this time. So we're going to see what he'll be able through to do. He's going to exit out through the final apex and going to be starting through his flying lap. And now for turn 1. Just going to be very, very careful on for this double apex complex. It's going to swing round a hard braking zone coming down through 3. That's going to go just a bit uphill and swings it around. He's going to throw that Porsche around to the curb through 5, and then out through the straight he goes. Braking zone down through 6 of Tory VIP or VIP. Again, just a hard corner indeed to get right, especially after that going straight. Gonna swing over down through 7, and then back over through to 8, and then hard braking over 9, and a bit of a twitch there from Kai Francis, but manages to keep it through onto the track. Again, the generous runoff area providing a bit of help. And look at this, the second sector is where you can really feel the elevation start to take through its shape. Up through the hill, and then out from the airpin, it goes right down again, swings around, and it's going to swipe back uphill over through to the third sector. Another hard braking zone indeed, but swings around uphill, so going to be pretty cautious for that. It's going to be looking actually pretty good of a lap time, as a little bit onto the grass Francis goes, but still will keep it on through. Out from the apex, swings it around through a very terrifying turn 16. Almost completely flat out here for these prototypes, as gonna go for across the line. What lap time he will be able to set? A 33.0. That was very, very good actually for Francis, and definitely room for more improvement for him, especially given the bit of swiggle that we've seen from him. So it's possible that we could see him jump into the 32s as well. So Tion Barrett does have his work cut out for him in that regards. Josh Hughes improves once again. It was 5 tenths now through that. Cameron Field still through to the pits, not much there. Barrett also through to the pits, and Tion Barrett will go for once again 19.93, 3 tenths off, so may not be that much for an improvement. So 4 minutes and 12 seconds left to go for qualifying. Still 10 cars up through the track as it stands. Just looking for a couple more other ones here. The Joe McLaughlin through the Aston Martin Valkyrie will go through across the line. Yeah, just not very much improvement there. He'll still stick in the 34s. Alex Norris going to go out for his out lap. George Williams is swinging around through the final few corners now. Swings around through that in his Porsche. Maybe a way to bump up through to the midfield for himself. To the line. No. Not quite. Still a bit short from there. Phil Bailey gone for the pits. 3 minutes 30 seconds left to go for qualifying. Kai Francis is still trying to go for all out to catch up to Tion Barrett, who actually improved to 32.8. So what he can do here? A 32.9. So had Tion Barrett not improved, Kai Francis would have taken that third spot, but just reduces it ever so more slightly, 500ths off. Josh Hughes is going to go throughout again, but we're going to see if George Williams, I think, scheduling for a pit stop. But Joe McLaughlin's not going to. He's going to try and go throughout again. Let's see what he'll be able to do. Just a yellow out round, so don't think there'll be any more improvements there. Hughes is going to, I think, warm up the tires, I believe. It could possibly be. Yeah, I think he might be doing that. Kai Francis, meanwhile, he's still going to go for another qualifying round, so he's going to try and do 3 in a row. 2.5 minutes left to go, so that'll be interesting. I think he might have invalidated for the first lap, which I think could be possible, so we'll see how that develops. While I'm still going for the pits. Norris is, I think, eyeing for something here. Personal best through the first sector for the BMW driver. Just not quite through in the places where he's usually is, especially for the man that was in raceway contention back over at Monza. Driver of the day performance back in Imola hasn't been deferred. A yellow flag. I wonder where that could have been. We'll never know. Oh well, consider yourself lucky. The person who's Bobzilla says that he's no longer on controller, so he'll be. Kai Francis improves up to second. Oh my goodness me! And that is a massive improvement there from Francis on his RPL Le Mans Ultimate debut here to push himself through up in a second. That is incredible, especially when we consider that the duel that he was going to have with Barrett, but it proved up substantially and is still looking to maybe go for again. Although it's 19.6 Josh Hughes' time is, and Francis can only do a 19.7. Bobzilla says no longer on control. I'm now using my wheel, but the pedals are not there yet, so I'm using dual clutch pedals as my throttle and brake. Wow, that's mightily impressive. Francis is still looking to improve though through the first sector, so that is good news for all the people that are Kai Francis fans. But I think it looks to be scheduling in for a pit stop. 50 minutes, 50 seconds of through to qualifying. So good news there from people around. Can there be any more improvements left from Francis? Is going to be one of the last few to go through across the line. You know, we're through to the Porsche Apex. So, what can he do now? Through the line. It is an improvement. Has brought it down to 3/10. But I think that will just have to be it. Meanwhile, right on board now with Alex Norris. Can he do anything here as a last-minute gasp attempts to claw up to the field? He's currently in 7th, not quite what he needs, but a way to maybe get up to Williams' time is possible. He is 1/10 net gain. That just depends on through the final series of corners. The timer is indeed done. So where can he be now? And he does! Alex Norris improves himself up into 6th and splits the two Peugeots of Bailey and Up Williams separately. And that will make it a Peugeot 5.7 and a BMW 6.8. Great qualifying, I must say. That was incredibly very interesting from what we have seen, but we'll have a look over to the session results. Very phenomenal there from Josh Hughes. It grabs another pole position through to his name with Kai Francis behind 3/10 off. Francis will indeed be the main contender for that with Cameron Fields over in 3rd, Tion Barrett 4th, Phil Bailey 5th, Alex Norris 6th, Jordan Williams 7th, Jordan Navarro 8th, Joe McLaughlin 9th, and Woodmansey 10th. And then as a result, we're going to look over through to the starting order, as I could just get me for a minute. So, Yeah, that was would man say that did suffer from that, but is luckily going to continue on through onto ahead. We can look over for the starting order though for today's race. Yeah, first row, Josh Hughes, phenomenal performance for him. Kai Francis will share alongside him on the outside to complete for run 1. Cameron Fields up into third. That's going to be another performance there for the top 4. Tion Barrett will be behind for in fourth. Phil Bailey, a good performance for him for fifth. Alex Norris will have to accompany beside him over at sixth. Following down behind, George Williams and Jordan Navarro. So it's a Peugeot 5.7 BMW 6.8 right there. Finally completing over through to the final row, it is Joe McClellan and Will Woodmansey, who has now got a steering wheel but is suffering from his issue that we was talking about earlier. FI3XOO says hi. Hello. And Bobzilla Will Woodmansey says rocking the Billy Monger setup. Indeed. Just don't crash into any stationary cars, please. Alrighty. This is going to be a relatively very interesting way. 10-car field. I think the last time we have seen something through that numbers was back over at Monza for round 2. A very intense track is going to wait for the drivers here at RPL. Can Josh Hughes add on to another race win to his collection? So that's indeed could be possible, but we could be also be seeing potentially a new race winner. Of course, Cameron Fields behind. Kai Francis also share for the front row, so it's entirely possible what we could be seeing through here. Phil Bailey, indeed, last race winner, P5, also not to discredit. And Tion Barrett as well through all that. So there is many possibilities here to see what can happen. We're going to wait for the green flag to drop right here, right now. Alright. The green lights are dropped and we're underway right here. It's going to be a pretty good start actually for Hughes though. But looking over down here for turn 1, this is going to be really close. Kai Francis swings around for the outside, going to be going both side by side, heading over to turn 2. That Porsche is absolutely not giving up, trying to pressure for the Toyota as we see Tion Barrett just going a bit wide, allows to lose a couple of positions there. But Kai Francis meanwhile is going to lose that momentum and will allow for Cameron Fields meanwhile to be able to get up for a position. You can see down from the back, we're going 3 wide. Tion Barrett meanwhile almost loses it out as they're going to go through that series of corners, my goodness me, through the hairpin. And we can just see there, that was George Williams, I think, that was going a bit wide. He will join in behind, but is now stuck in between the 2 BMWs. And Navarro and Alex Norris meanwhile going to be going side by side a little bit of contact, but still managed to keep on through. That was extremely close, but it's a dream start for the green Toyota Geo for Josh Hughes and Cameron Fields. It is a 1-2, but Cameron Fields meanwhile trying to look over through back behind Phil Bailey's having a look for the inside to Kai Francis, but Kai Francis does not budge. That is absolutely astonishing racing that we're just seeing here already in the first lap here. Oh, and Tion Barrett a bit under for pressure from Phil, has to be very careful for the third sector. That was a bit of a side stop I think from behind from Alp Williams, but still manages to keep up through and still keeps up through on track, so good indeed for him. And we can just see Phil, I think, overtake Tion Barrett for P4, so that was very close racing. I think the ballast has indeed been applied, so Josh Hughes has the one running on the max, and Phil I think might be added for a bit. Tion Barrett almost looks down for the inside, but to no avail. Oh my goodness, I'm trying to fight for the pressure, and Kai Francis goes off. Is he going to be able to rejoin? Yes, he will be able to rejoin, but that unstableness coming through the first corner that was caused free by Phil has made him drop positions now, and will now be off the offset now and have to try and battle through the positions up again. A tense battle going on through. We can just see with the 67 minutes left to go here through Portimao, Kai Francis now for the back foot has to try and find a way to claw that gap up and to, you know, make a move and see if it will make it stick. At that one in the back one, that might have been up Williams, was it? I think it might have been. I'm not quite sure, but indeed quite hard. Wilman Nancy a bit off and onto the gravel, but he'll still manage to keep on through. Good on him. Good on him. As I'm just trying to get over through to the track map. But indeed, a tense battle that we're seeing throughout the entire area. Okay, of course, Hughes is not completely running out of it, but Cameron and Hughes are effectively completely running out of it. We can just see, I think, over to the back. Alp Williams there, still through behind. Can we maybe see a move here? It could be possible out front to the main straight now. But hanging over for turn 1 indeed pretty difficult for what we have seen, but still will manage to hold on for it for the time being. Again, just the difficulties that this track does indeed bring makes it indeed a fan favourite. Sure, we've got on quite struggling for the Aston Martin. Wilman Mansey still holding on through to turn 5 they all go, and it's just gently starting to spread a little bit for the time being. But yeah, indeed, oh my goodness me, and that will allow for George Williams to promote himself up to 7th. Jordan Navarro a bit too deep heading for that corner, but he will allow Turritani, looks for the switchback, tries to push George to the outside, looking over through to the inside, heading over through turn 11, but won't be able to do so, just has to back up from now. And Argarv, oh goodness me, a bit of a match onto the gravel there. Alex Norris goes, and that will allow for Alp Williams to maybe capitalise here. Have a going through turn 14 of Sagres, and no moves quite yet to be made. I think Alp Williams might be able needing to defend from behind onto Navarro. It's gonna be using through the slipstream now. Can hear through the cars whizzing past. And indeed, what a spectacle it is. Oh goodness me, yellow flag already. I'm hoping, not sure that's our first retirement. Doesn't seem to be too much from what I can see. I think that was just a probably brief yellow flag. Another yellow flag out for again. Who that might be. Oh goodness me, that's gone off way too deep. Oh my goodness me, Cameron Fields has dropped. No, he's not. Oh my goodness me. There. Oh goodness. Oh yeah. Okay, we've got someone going a bit slow. So this is going to be quite hard. That was Cameron Fields actually. He is actually dropped a position. So I wonder what happened to him, because he was running up very comfortably up into P2, and I'm going to be under pressure now from Tion Barrett. Heading through the third sector now, he's going to swing it over to the inside. Not much that he can do, but he might be able to lose 2 positions as Kai Francis is just right behind him though. It's quite dreadful for Torino to be 1-2 and 1-4. Using Kai Francis indeed for the final corner. You can feel with the bit of the sparks that it's a close setup that Cameron has set on. Is there GTS as well? No, there is not any GTSs. There's only just through the hypercars now as it stands. But you know. Oh, looking through the back though. Alp Williams, I think, promotes himself up through the 6 onto the move with Alex Norris. Alex Norris will be under through pressure with Navarro. And Navarro will have for the slipstream heading over for turn 5. The BMWs are both going to be going side by side. Laid on for the brakes. Too much over through. And he's going to swing and run through. Contact. But they still managed to keep all through together for now. That was very, very close, I must say. But still holds on through. As I'm just overall looking through to the rest of the field. Oh my goodness, man, you get to see pressure there from Alp Williams onto Yeah, that was incredibly close, and you can just see Cameron Fields has indeed lost that position to Kai Francis. I want to have a look over for the replay and just see what has happened to Cameron, because that was doing very well, but had lost that position as a result. So this was going through a bit further back. Of course, could be a possibility. That screams like a latency issue to me. Oh my goodness me. Oh wow, that's a massive latency issue. But then he's fine. Here. Yeah, we can just see that now. So, indeed. I think we've just seen battle through up ahead. We've got a retirement in. Oh, Will has retired. Very unfortunate there from Will, as I'm trying to see through the thing. Oh goodness, another yellow flag. What is going on? Oh my goodness me, that is Navarro, and he's dropped over a couple places. Very unfortunate news there from Navarro. Anyways, I want to have a look to... Yeah, Navarro's indeed going to go for the pits. A couple things I want to see. I just want to see through this mistake Navarro had. Simple lockup out, coming through to the third sector and loses out from that position. Will, he was already not in ideal setup for the car, so he's already struggling massively. Navarro has retired over a spin. Okay, I think it just went straight for over the pits, and oh goodness me, and a spin and a half there from Will, and the 69 will pose through to the first retirement. Navarro, I think, just went to the pits to retire, so fair dues. But yeah, currently as it stands, Phil will hold on through the second, Barrett third, Cameron Fields will hold on through the fourth, Francis through behind for fifth, Alp Williams sixth, and Alex Norris will complete through 1 through 7 as it stands. Quite close. I think closest one on track we have now is between Kai and Cam, so that will be very interesting to see. But indeed, no GTS at all. But close and awful. "58 minutes left to go here today through the race." I think that was quite close from what we've seen from Francis onto Fields. Everyone else just seems to be so not stagnating, but continue on through as it progresses. Let's see for the solo farm out from behind. But the Porsche driver will still be good. Alex Norris, meanwhile, pressuring over through Alp Williams. So Fields is just gently pulling away from Francis and will be allowing to pressure onto Barrett. But Norris, meanwhile, will be able to make on through to Alp Williams for 6th, and Francis is effectively into battle salvage train. If the way of ways to think that seems to stand. The straight now will allow him to claw that gap a bit further. but will indeed still hold off through. Last lap time, 6/10 off between each other, so the pressure on through still there. And it is kind of going down 5/10 off. I think Fields and Barrett are also going to see something similar between each other. They're, I think, getting a bit reduced even further now, and this will boost her up Fields up through to the podium, trying to pressure onto Barrett now. Barrett's gonna keep his head cold, just not really let it get to a bit too wide. Cameron Fields off of the track, but will rejoin, but loses that momentum, and in fact, has he lost too much momentum? Has it allowed for Francis to maybe able to get up through here? Alex Norris, meanwhile, about a second off from George, and holds on through for the time being. Over through to the final few corners. Alex Norris still be able to keep through to the pressure onto Alba Williams. Out through the final corner they go. Will be able to use for the slipstream to be able to catch up, but I think the tension up to Fields will still continue. I think they're both actually relatively close. No one has made yet for their pit stops. Barrett a bit too wide out for turn 3. But Fields will have to take evasive action as he occupied the racing line that he's on. So you can just see over from the drone view, gap somewhat decently spaced out a bit between Barrett, Fields and Francis. Phil Bailey trying his best to claw for the gap, but 5/10 off. Won't be much that he can do. And Fields is actually clawed up now. Still 7/10 off from ahead. Fastest lap time 32.7 from Josh. Could be eyeing for his third race win in a row. And Phil is eyeing for his second podium in a row. But could be another race win for his collection if the way things are to maybe materialise. Is Cameron off the racing line through that hairpin? That's not going to be ideal for the tyres at all. I wonder if the Kiwi driver is already struggling for grip already so early on. But absolutely indeed. Can he go through the final few corners? But we'll still just keep it on through for the time being, and we'll still gladly held on through to P3 for the time being. Thought there was a bit of a glitch issue, but seems to be just fine. Alex Norris meanwhile now close to, my goodness me, who's that off? That was Cameron Fields is off. Where's he gone? He's off track. I have no idea. Oh no, he's back. That's a big issue. So the yellow flags must be of his connection issues, but meanwhile Alex Norris can't quite capitalise onto the move, onto George. We'll have through the slipstream, through the second sector. But again, the elevation just adds through a bit to that dirty air element that Norris trying to push George out from the racing line. But George does not budge, and that will mean that he actually loses out for the time from that gamble. From the apex now, approaching down for the third sector, a very tight apex needed to take care from the BMW driver to get any sort of gap closing up through to the Welshman up ahead, but Alex can't seem to do much to hold through. And the British driver hold through. I think we've they're still holding on through for the time being. Fields still back up to under a second from Francis, and Francis himself is just about within a second of Barrett. A fight possibly developing up between these two, we might see. I think of those latency issues that we're seeing. Fields has lost quite a lot of time over to Kai Francis from that. They've swapped positions definitely, but not quite in the ideal way that we've seen. And from the apex they go. But will indeed hold on through to his own ground there. Of course, also the two viewers. Thanks for tuning over to RPL Formula 1. If you're interested for this league, feel free to join through our Twitch page and all those other socials. We'll be happy to have you. 51 minutes left to go here for the Le Mans Ultimate first season here at RPL. Bit too sideways for Norris, what means that he won't be able to capitalize. Up ahead, but we can see Fields now catching up now to Kai. Oh my goodness me, it's going to be 3 wide now for this battle for P3. Fields is going to try and find a way to gain his way back up, but so will Kai. Kai almost looks over for the inside onto his Peugeot mate. 3-3, swings up down for 4. And again, very, very close exits that we're seeing from these two. Of course, Cameron, fastest 1:32.9 is the fastest time for these three that we have seen. But Kai Francis only doing a 33.3 meanwhile. So, and Barrett's also doing a 33.3 as well. Only difference is that Francis is about 2 hundredths faster than Barrett. But of course it is push the gap a little bit more. 5 seconds separates between Bailey and Barrett. Oh, goodness me, off the race line a little bit. Francis having tried to look, and again, Barrett not at all unfazed from that move. Super close at what we're seeing here. As I think we're just seeing a brief moment here as Norris still trying to catch up through. Oh, Francis retired. Is this our 3rd retirement that we've seen? He's 0 and he's into the box. I'm not quite sure what has effectively happened here. That's sad news for the man that was in P2 that looked set to maybe get for a podium, and yeah, this sort of issue is happening. So 3rd retirement, if that might be the case, or maybe could just rejoin and could go up some very, very valuable points up for the board. As I'm just trying to look over through to the rest of the but indeed, I have to do remind myself for the points. Again, Josh still holds on through to a points lead, 68 points. Talon back through behind, it's 43, but Alex Norris just behind, still through onto 36. George 27. Bailey got the first race win, so that will be 25 points through to his name, with Okahi 18, Enya 8, 10, and Cameron Fields 8. So Cameron Fields has not actually finished yet quite on the podium, but it's looking very close. And I'm just trying to see from Francis is still struggling, but we can see there Cameron Fields trying to swing it around through the outside onto Barrett, but not quite making that move yet. But Fields will indeed have another go through once again. You're going to use the slipstream out from the final corner onto the street. It's going to be as close to Barrett as he ever possibly can be. The Porsche will have to look around for the outside and try to maximize the speed as he does so. But Fields can do so if he can be late on the brakes. He doesn't be late on the brakes. It just follows on from behind for the time being. Out from turn 2 though. And they two will continue on to for another day. Alex Norris and George Williams will fight for P5. So you can just see the gap there, 4 tenths off from one another. As you can just see over from the screens over to your left, the positions gained and lost. Barely biggest gainer, having started over from P5, has gained 3 places. Fields as the only one that has effectively lost it now as the stands being. Francis again retired, but Hughes and Norris pretty much stagnant the way they've been. Out Williams also gained 2 places, so pretty impressive from there. Barrett and Fields have indeed exchanged positions from their qualifying orders. So good news from all that around. So we can also see over through the virtual energy as well to your left hand side. Barrett having been 29% means that we can expect him to pit first, as I think we've just seen a battle between Fields and Barrett. We're going to see what's going to happen here. Barrett, oh my goodness me, has indeed lost for a position. We'll have a look at the replay from that later, but I think he is definitely conserving the time. Cameron Fields will happily pro himself up into P3, and it could be eyeing for his first podium. Barrett continued on through his good charge though of points hold to try and catch up to Hughes in the championship, but seems to be Hughes running away from it. Down through turn 1, gonna go over through 2. A little bit of latency issues there from once again from, I think that might be Cameron, or might be from my end for a change, possibly up from here, but he'll still be able to keep on through. He might be gaining just a bit, 99 compared to 21, so he is indeed just pulling away. I will have a look over through to the goodness me, that was so close. I will have a look over through to the replay just very momentarily, but we'll have a look on through to the battle between Cameron and Barrett, because it was very drastic. And Francis still for the pits. McLaughlin still for to 7th. Alp Williams up 6th. Norris 5th. Barrett 4th. Cameron Fields 3rd. Bailey 2nd. And P1 is going over to Hughes. Oh goodness me, yellow flag. Is that Fields again? That might be Fields again. I'm not quite sure what's happening here. No, he's back up again, but he's lost the position to Barrett. So that's another issue that we're seeing here from Cameron. He's not, the internet's not really seeming to be by his side, and he's just losing the positions. He lost it to Kai, now he's lost it to Barrett now, and that's highly unfortunate. Barrett goes a bit too deep, a bit sideways there from Cameron behind, and this will allow us to have a fight between themselves once again. Oh, a bit sideways out from Barrett, coming out from 3, swings around up through 4. Out through the 2nd sector now, swinging around for the 3rd. Cameron's going to be as close to Cameron's as ever. He's done. He's actually gone over through to the racing line, but he's gone a bit too much. Bit of a tank supper. Might allow for Cameron to go side by side, but he doesn't. He'll have to switch on back for now for the time being. The Porsche driver will still hold on through the 3rd. Cameron, up for a 2nd. No other real sort of position changes out from across the board. Phil is I think not catching a bit, it's just still stagnating for the time being. Barrett again, latency issues, so not quite sure what's going on here. We're gonna see Cameron Fields use the substitute now, able to try and maybe make P3 really stick it up here. Gonna never go for turn 1. Later on for the makes. Barrett still holds on, swings around through, and he's gonna make it continue to go side by side. Heading over for turn 3 and a bit of a nudge, and that's allowed for Barrett to have a bit of a tank slapper, and we'll lose the position over to Cameron. Ooh, goodness me, a little bit of a wiggle out from the exit for Cameron means that he's not got the run effectively that he needs coming through turn 5, and that will mean that Barrett, if possible, can be able to continue to apply for the pressure onto the New Zealander up ahead. 42 minutes left to go through here of this race. Currently as it stands, Josh Hughes is still running away with it. 32.7 has been his fastest lap time in his Toyota. Phil Bailey just behind in the Peugeot is going to continue on through to maybe make it 2 podiums in a row. Continue on through from his race win previously back over at Imola. Cameron Fields follows on through behind. He's eyeing for his first podium after being unlucky in several modifications, most notably the one back in Qatar. He's trying to hold on for it, but they'll have to worry about Tion Barrett behind. One of the good drivers that we have thus far from Barrett. Continue on for his points and still hoping to try and retain second in the championship, which I think could be under pressure from Phil from what we've seen here for today. Alex Norris still struggling a bit, hasn't really found his mood coming over from Monza, but he is still going to give it for a try. He'll be still presently happy through the 5th and has managed to overtake George Williams for the 5th place, as George still holding on through. Again, just points is going to be all that you can really do. You can see over down for behind. That's Joe McLaughlin out from behind. I think Cameron Fields had a bit of a latency issue. But currently as it stands, it's quite interesting. 40 minutes left through to go. And again, a run is still possible for what we're going to see from everyone else on through across the board. And you remain still over to the left-hand side. So we're going to expect Barrett, the driver that we're witnessing now, to potentially go into the pits first, given that his percentile is indeed not low, but low enough to probably be worth to pit first. Norris, though, meanwhile behind. 54% means that he's probably expected to go for longer. As you can just see there on your infographic, 40 minutes left remaining to go onto this race. But he'll still be pretty happy for the way things are going, at least for the time being. Especially for how much he's managed to hold up Fields for the time being. And we'll continue on through for that for now. Yeah, there's... yeah. 39 minutes left to go. George Williams, I think, just losing a little bit of... Actually, no, he's managed to gain a lot of ground to Alex Norris from that first sector. Norris was actually a full second slower. But a bit of a wiggle out from the hairpin. It's not going to do favours for Williams just yet. But we'll continue on through. I think Fields is suffering again. Oh, he's back up here, so he's fine for now. Alex Norris, meanwhile, and Williams close, and they will be able to battle out for it once again. Oh, from the second sector they go. Gonna go for uphill, approaching for the third sector. Hard braking zone coming over through 13. Swings right forward to 14. And a final quarter. Still only through as the time's been. I think Williams is going to catch up to... Still going to try and catch up through, but we'll still hold on through for the time being. Oh, goodness me, another yellow flag. Not quite sure who that might be. I think it's just maybe another Cameron Field scare. I think I might be correct. Position still seem to be staying out now for the time being, as it can happen, as tire compounds also relatively important. Everyone is downing for the mediums, so we can expect them all to maybe switch over through to the mediums as well later on. 37 minutes left to go here. Fields indeed hold forward through. Williams though still pressing over to Alex Norris. have the third section to maybe claw up just that little bit more, and then hoping over for the slipstream in the first quarter that he'll maybe. I think Norris has the better out from that final sector, and a better exit too, with the apex to his advantage. Will claw up through to 5/10 and continues to gain. It continues to gain. It continues to gain. As you can see over for the timing tower. 5/10 over for the first sector, so indeed a much better exit. I think George is playing a bit more conservative, hoping to attack maybe later on, or trying to eye for maybe a stake from Norris without damaging too much onto the tower. I'll come out for 4. Still holding up through to P5. Norris does breaking zone over through to 5. You can see the glowing onto the brakes, and Norris will still be able to hold on to Alp Williams through the behind. Fruit is 9. For a 10, up for 11. Pretty good exit. Swings around through, flat out for 12. Hard braking zone coming up through 13. Almost as tight as it was at 5, except just a little less radier. Gonna be through up there. Over through to 14. Swings around a very long hairpin. That also changes in elevation. Downhill. And I will continue on going through downhill upwards. And then down through to 15 off gulp. Hold on through. And it will still be 4/10 off. I think it allows for George to maybe have a chance now. Going over for total on the Portimao. Still coming on through a little bit too much out from the track, but we'll still keep it on through. Far through 2. And then over through to Lagos in turn 3. Allows for George to just to keep applying for the pressure as he's gone through. Near 90-degree up through uphill 4. Braking very hard over through turn 5. Later on the brakes may allow you to get a better position, but could also allow for a poor exit. Over here from 5, gonna go slower for 6. A slight kick of 6. Another slight kick for 7. Uphill this time through to 8 on Samsung. And we'll just go for uphill and then right through downhill. Through 9 on Craig Jones, another similar flat out area which goes downhill, swings around uphill. 10 and 11 for the Portimao complex. It's almost near double apex, 180 degree complex, or 125, 135 degrees. Through to 12, breaking hard down for 13. Pretty good exit there from Norris. I think just really pushing it up there for the time being. Through to 14, out from the exit. Gonna use a bit from the apex. Uphill, then downhill. Swings right through down, through gulp, and then it's gonna go right back uphill again through the start finish straight. And that will be for a lap on Portimao here at the Le Mans Ultimate Series here. Dylan Barrett again with another bit of latency issues on for his end. But Cameron Phillips has indeed dropped. Where is he going to be? I wonder. Hopefully it's not for good this time. We're seeing. Oh my goodness me. Up Williams. Just apply for the pressure onto. Is he off for good this time? Is he off for good? I wonder. Oh dear. No, he's back. He's back. So that's all good news for now. But I worry if it might come to striking through again. Right on board with Alp Williams now. We're gonna see him able to apply through to the pressure. Norris goes in way too deep. But will still manage to just about hold it up through to that corner. as we look on board with him. Here we go. Out through the final corner. We'll be able to allow to apply it through to the pressure onto Norris. Oh, goodness me, Norris. Bit shaky out from the exit from 1 over through to 2. And you can just see George really funneling in through that pressure. Swings around for the inside, coming over through 2. But Norris is just going to be able to hold it on through 4, and that's going to be super crucial to hold that on, and that means it's going to be ahead coming through turn 5, and with that enough of a gap, we'll swiftly hold on through to 5. Again, 60 kilometers an hour. We can see the Peugeot taking that apex. Pretty impressive stuff. Approaching over for 230 kilometers, but having to brake very slightly and then brake deeper once again through Samsung. Out go through for the exit though. It's going to accelerate over, going to be out from there, over for the kick onto Craig Jones. 250 kilometers we're seeing before the breaking over through 10-11 to Portimao. Out from the exit, going to be swinging over a similar one, this time the similar situation, uphill now, 220 before breaking over to around 90 kilometers an hour through the apex, through to 13. Over through to swings around through 14 the apex. Get similar 90-degree apex that we're seeing. Out from a good exit though. Alex Norris utilising that apex as much as we can. And look at that, the dirty air bit of produce allows for George to just lift up a little bit. But we'll have a really good exit to apply over through to Alex Norris now. This is going to be Alex Norris just catching up, just full pulling away just a little bit. 320 kilometers an hour, light on the brakes over going for turn 1. That's going to be absolutely incredible. And hasn't actually made it work. I think he has done so. And yes, he has. What a brilliant move there from George Williams, I must say. Fantastic, 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 fantastic. Fantastic move, fantastic move. Okay, it's seen our first man through to the pits. Barrett has got in his scheduled pit stop. He's going to exit for the pits and will happily rejoin comfortably in last place. I think we might see other people's schedule in, maybe. We have to see, as Williams is indeed pulling away from Norris. Barrett, meanwhile, an entire lap down. That's interesting. He's an entire lap down. Does maybe go to show through the. I wonder how come he's a lap down. But we'll have a look to see that for later. Of course, 28 minutes left to go here for the Le Mans series here at Portimao. We're going to continue on through to the rest of the calendar in just a few moments. I'm just very curious on how Barrett is one lap down, but I think everyone else is indeed due a pit stop, so I think the gap might be back to normal. Either that or it was a very long pit stop than predicted. It's come down for 10 seconds now. Josh Hughes and Phil, I think both have effectively been on through their own races. Cameron hasn't had really much. Well, he has had some issues, to be honest. That's probably why he's dropped his pace quite a lot. I think 3 connection issues and 2 pace drops. It's not at all what he wants. Of course, being a very phenomenal driver that he is, done pretty well, must say. Williams over for the 4th. Very good battle with Alex Norris, and really seems to be put onto his own strides here at Portimao. Could be looking over for another good result to add to his books thus far. as I'm pretty sure through indeed hasn't scored a podium since Qatar, but he will equal his next best result in Monza, where he finished P4. In fact, he's never finished outside the top 4 as it stands, which is mightily impressive. Of course, back in the previous race over at Monza, he did not attend, so there was like nothing much that he could do. Navarro having to retire them on the first lap. I think that's the second time. It's like, or it's the. I think it might be the second time, or maybe the third time that we've seen him retire. Is it? 26 minutes left to go here through the race. Tian Barrett really trying to give it his all here, trying to catch up through to the field, but has managed to, like, at least not lap himself against Phil. Phil is, I think, doing fine for now. 9/10 off from Hughes. I think that dirty air that Barrett is producing has just pushed the gap a little bit more than he would have wanted. 19.8 from Barrett compared to 21.1 from Phil, and Hughes is a 19.8. So Barrett indeed just a few seconds for him ahead. Alex Norris goes in and makes his scheduled pit stop, so we're going to be able to see where he is going to come out in relation to Barrett, because again, tracks are indeed determine if undercuts or overcuts work. I think given the wide nature of the circuit, might be a possibility that either or can maybe work, but let's see out here. Norris is really going to take for his time, but of course Barrett and Norris were in two different fighting positions. Norris was fighting with George Williams, and Barrett was fighting with Cameron Fields up from the screen. So we're going to hear Barrett swing round through Prast, and is it going to be enough? We'll see. It's 3.56. So it's actually now about 6.5 seconds, which I think is just about right. But of course, it's going to make the tires warmer indeed. So that is also another part for you to play in regards to pit strategy. Yeah. Up for up ahead. I think we might see other people go through to the pits. No one else has scheduled their pit stops just yet. Again, just a quick reminder, folks. Hughes fastest lap time with a 32.7, following close really behind with Phil Bailey a 32.8, and Cameron Fields a 32.9. Could we expect many other pit stops to come through? 23 minutes left to go. Waiting for a scheduled pit stop. Hypercars are not designed to usually last for long 90-minute stints, but the pit stop really is going to provide some favor to it, as Alex Norris is actually 10 seconds off from Barrett, so I think it might be very foretelling to see how this strategy might go. I think either early undercutting or early overcutting might work. Not quite sure if there'll be quite a balance on through between 22 minutes, 3 left to go. Glotton, highest place that he's ever been through the Aston Martin, up into 5th, but at least since he's going to finish on track, he's going to garner Aston Martin's first ever points here at the LMU season, which is very, very fun if you're indeed a Valkyrie fan. So that's indeed something to indeed keep an eye out for now. He'll enter on through to the pits. and he'll be a third man to make a scheduled pit stop. Phil is also going to make for his scheduled pit stop, so he's going to try to undercut Hughes and see what he can do. A bit of a wiggle though, so his tires are indeed struggling, so there's an added factor to pitting that early to really effectively give it your all, and the fact that he's already struggling through these tire compounds is a true testament for how hard Phil has been pushing. And he goes, and he'll think just about going through, and he will do so. McLaughlin is still through it. And again, that's just a bit of a proof for the gap that we're seeing here. McLaughlin will indeed exit for the pits. That is Norris and Barrett that indeed pass by. Hughes is getting scheduled for the pits. Cameron, is it? Phil still is. Phil, I hope it won't be losing too much time. George will indeed take him, overtake him. Not for place though, because George has indeed need to make a pit stop himself. We're going to wait for Phil to leave out for the pits, and he will indeed do so. And quite clear for ahead of everyone else. Williams will indeed go through right on past. Hughes indeed scheduling a pit stop, and Fields. So these two are indeed scheduled in. I think George is going to leave it right to the very last minute. Here we go. Hughes is going to go into the pits now. We would expect to see Cameron join very soon. And we're going to keep the track onto the progress. Onto Phil's time. He is on cold tires, so he's not going to be able to really properly use that undercut to his avail. But they will be warmer whenever Hughes will be struggling. And he's hoping to eye that and maybe taking that into account. Hughes will go through into the pits now. We're going to see Cameron join very soon, moments after. And George, as we mentioned before, going to keep it on as late as he possibly can, because he thinks that's going to be the best strategy call for himself. The two Toyota teammates through into the pits now, and we're looking over through a 33.9, so it's about, oh goodness me, that's not a very good outlap indeed for Phil. And we can just see he's going to exit out for the pits. It's going to be very, very crucial for what we're seeing as it stands. Is it very, very important that what we're seeing here, that is George. He's going to exit from ahead, so he will be so he might provide a bit of dirty air for Josh, but I think it's just about enough of a gap. You can see Phil there exiting out, and oh boy, has that I think it might have just been it's effectively the same gap as it is before, it seems to be. 10 seconds, so nothing lost, nothing really gained between Hughes and Bailey there. Fields will exit out through, and he was battling out with Barrett. He's going to exit through the final corner now, but Fields will get back up into racing speed, and that seems to be a big advantage for Fields. 7.5 seconds compared to around 5 or 3 seconds to what we've seen previously before. Of course, Fields will have to get his temperatures warmed up, so there is that added element factor. So Hughes still holds on through to the lead now as it stands. I think we're seeing potential battle from up the head. That was Fields again. Another connection issue though. We're going to see George though heading over to the pits. That will allow for Josh Hughes to retake up for the lead. Cameron Fields has rejoined. I think still ahead of Barrett. Yes, he has now. And I think it just seems to be no big surprises. No changes much on for the pit stops, I think. Williams was battling with Norris for P5. So if he joins that in 5th, that's good. If he's got any more positions made, then that's even better news. Phil's gone. I thought that was Phil going slow, but not seems to be. Gone down to 8 seconds. So the pit stops have actually gained Phil 2 seconds to his gap to Hughes for now. And we're going to see Williams exit from the pits now. It's going to get down from 5 over to 4. This is going to be extremely close. And Norris might actually jump up Williams, maybe, and he does so. There's George, and he'll have to do for this once again. Through 16 minutes left to go here, and Norris and Williams, the only one that has been affected by pit strategy, by positions gained, but at least Ab Williams will have at least the tyre advantage to Norris, since Norris has been pitted about 3, 4, 5 laps earlier, will mean that it's probably going to degrade a lot more faster as time goes on than Williams. But Williams will also have to be worried about the tyre temperature, trying to get out to warm up to racing speed over through, as we could just see him struggling a bit already coming through turn 6, but all seems to be all good for now. As we've mentioned before, Josh Hughes still holds on to the lead with Phil Bailey through 2nd, Cameron Phil's in 3rd, Tian Barrett 4th, Alex Norris 5th, George Alt Williams 6th, Joe McLaughlin and 7th. Kelly Francis, Jordan Navarra and Will Woodmansey are still the only retirement. Oh, goodness me. Barrett swings around a bit, but we'll still keep on through. Just keep it on cool for the time being. Phil is still catching up over to just 8 seconds, though. Is it going to continue on through to that gap? We're going to have to see 32.7 for now, I think. Phil Hughes, I think, is just invalidated his lap, it seems to be. As is exiting out through the final sector, we're going to continue to see if there might be any more track positions to be made here. Of course, Phil Hughes is now the 2nd closest battle that we have now thus far. Up Williams and Norris might be expected to go again, and the remaining few 10 minutes and a bit of here. That's it for the 3rd sector as well. So we'll just have to see, but it is clear that Phil slowly coming over through to his own element. 39.8 for his final sector, 32.7. So that's the fastest that anyone on track for now has done it now. But Josh is still doing 6:19.7, and that's about a tenth slower than what Cameron is doing, further behind, and Phil is doing something similar at 19.726. As they approach over through the 2nd sector, the gap is seemingly about to gain just a little bit more between Phil and Josh. It's now coming over to 8.5 seconds, a bit higher than what we've seen previously at the 7.7 seconds that's through before. As the elevation changes swiftly under the hood of the Toyota, we're going to see a 2nd sector time of a 33 flat from Hughes, and it's only natural we're going to see through Phil's time what he can do, 32.9, so that's about just about under a tenth quicker, but that might not be enough time. With the 13 minutes left to go, he has to try and find something more to catch up through to Hughes up ahead. But indeed, it's going to be quite early pickings for Phil, and what may be a good thing is just to get 2nd place. But phenomenal final sector we're seeing from Hughes is actually pushed over to about 9 seconds around, and then it's going to go over down through turn 1, and with the technical section at hand, it just seems to be pulling away. 39.3 for Hughes compared to 39.9 from Phil, so that's about 0.6 of a difference, and it has really made a massive difference, as you can see through the timing board. Through the timing board here, it is continuing to gain. But I must say, oh goodness me, Phil Cameron's over to the pits for once again, which is quite unfortunate. He's actually in the pits this time, I think. Cameron's in the pits, and that will be Oh, goodness me. Haha, those things are absolute rails. Indeed. Cameron seems to be suffering from a lot of connection issues, but is this the way that's going to well and truly be done for him? Because he's not seems to be exiting out from the pit, so I'll look for the replay to see what's happened here. Oh goodness me, cut for the grass. This is coming uphill through turn 11. Uh, 10-10, yep. And then going right through downhill. Straight over through 12. Heartbreakers are through 13. And that is a connection issue. Very unfortunate for Cameron. It looked to be almost his first podium, but didn't seem to be that way. And oh god, as a result, I think we are denied a very, very good thrilling fight. George Williams, meanwhile, for his pursuit to catch up through to Alex Norris, is still only 6/10 off and can't do much to really gain for it. Norris seems to be going a bit quicker than Williams is, and that tyre advantage is slipping away as that timer is ticking down in Norris, despite that massive discrepancy in tyre. And the tyre life between these two drivers, it just seems to be Norris played his pit stop earlier and perfected it down to a T, and it's now coming over through to his element now as a 33.4 compared to George Williams is a 33.6, 3 to 5 but behind. George McLaughlin has continued on through for his pace, but 20 seconds for behind George. Still will be pretty happy with a 33.7, I reckon. 32.4 we're seeing from Barrett. It's going to be another podium to his book as it stands, and a 32.2 from Phil, but no one can seems to match through Josh Hughes. He's now approached the gap further to 10 seconds, what it used to be previously in the pit stops. Now under 10 minutes left to go. It is a 10-second gap between Hughes and Phil. 31.9 is the quickest that we have seen from any driver to today. That has been recorded through by Hughes, and incredibly phenomenal from him to garner potentially another race win to his books. One previously back over Qatar, one over at Monza in dramatic circumstances. The only race in which he hasn't won was actually back over at Imola in the previous round, but he'll continue back over to his race-winning form as it stands for now. Yeah. Of course, Hughes super close, but we'll continue on through to make it to four podiums in a row, as we've said before with Bailey. Billy's again gonna continue on through with that. Has done very well through himself. Of course, I think Phil has indeed raced previously back over at one of the pre-season tests, indeed, and his LMU debut cultivated in a race win for the Peugeot team, and indeed happiness effectively all around for himself and all at Peugeot. George Williams has been doing something at least to try to replicate, but looking to be his worst result with P5, which is not at all bad news. It's been just notoriously very difficult for Alp Williams to be able to muster. Alex Norris had finished over in second, as done pretty good, and Barrett also from behind. Actually, Barrett's done pretty good, bar the only race in Alex Norris is scheduled for pits. I wonder how many pit stops he's done. Has he actually done a pit stop? I wonder. I think he has. Yeah, he has. So he's making another scheduled pit stop, which is quite unconventional, and that's going to be very dramatic with only about less than 10 minutes left to go. That means he's lost the positions over to Alp Williams, and McLaughlin. So McLaughlin in his debut is effectively maybe going to finish in the top 5 here, which is weird. I'm not quite sure how this might have happened, if it might have happened. So he's going to go on through. Alp Williams and Kai Francis still the only retirements that we have. Norris will exit out from the pits, and in quite unfortunate circumstances. So that means Alp Williams will continue to equal his second best result this season thus far. He has not finished any lower than P4 as it stands. Tian Barrett another podium to his books. The only time he hasn't finished outside the podium was a massive incident happening back over at Imola, but he's come back over through to his form, and again, 3 podiums in 4 races is not at all a bad feat, and will continue on through to his quest to hold on through to P2 alongside with his battle with Phil Bailey for P2. I imagine this would have been a pretty good points overhaul for himself. He taken seconds behind to try to get as close up to Hughes as he possibly can. Hughes just effectively ran away with it, and no one really seemed to particularly match him, but still incredibly good attempt there from Phil Bosse to hold on through to second place, exiting out through the second sector, going over through turns 10 and 11 of Portimao, swings around through 12, and braking zone over through to 13. A long hairpin and waits for Phil over at turn 14. Near 180 degrees, swings right downhill, but will keep hold of it, and then through the final corner, through to 15, just swings around downhill and swoops round 10.8 seconds. 5 minutes left to go here. As we've mentioned before, tense fight from all of us here around. Shameful Fields Francis to suffer from disconnect issues, kind of denying us for what could have been a really fantastic fight between these two and Barrett that we've seen earlier at the start of the race, and that could have been pretty big. That could have been extremely crucial for the points haul as well, for especially when we're looking at between Barrett's podium record. If it dropped down even lower, Bugini has a first lower than 5th, so if he came off the worst for that battle, then it could be pretty dramatic, and something maybe Phil or Co would keep their eyes closed about. Same with Alp Williams as well. So indeed, the possibilities were indeed endless. So something for us, the viewers, to really take on through. 4 minutes left over to go. 8.1 seconds. Just switch between Norris and McLaughlin. McLaughlin still, again, a pretty good performance from him. 21-1 compared to Norris 20-0, 34 compared to Norris 33, and a final sector, Joe McLaughlin's done a 48, and Norris has done a 48. So on average, Joe has done 2 tenths slower than Norris has, but 3 minutes left over to go. I think it's effectively just needs to keep calm and bring it home. Of course, we have seen dramatic circumstances where it seemed to be a clear shot, case shot race win that it really wasn't meant to be. We've seen it before with Norris in Monza, where he was leading, and a big mistake for the Ascari Paramolica meant that his 20-ish seconds was reduced right down to missing out the race win to Josh Hughes. And right now we're looking at what could be Josh Hughes' second race win. But yeah, it's unfortunate for Alex. He does seem to be pretty unlucky in the last in these last 3 races, especially crashing out from the lead, and is a big head over at Imola, and his European woes sort of continue with another second pit stop, which was indeed a bit unfortunate, but to do well to do that. Again, the closest track that we have is just 8 seconds short. Under 2 minutes now left to go. Phil will go through the line. We're going to expect to see another lap into our hands, so around 2 laps or so to go. Completely possible for whatever we can see maybe happen. As you can see, McLaughlin onto the screen. We'll just continue to apply the pressure under 90 seconds. Out for 11, 12. Next out from breaking over through to 13, through to 14, it will go down to just about 1 more lap left to go. Exit out through the final series of corners with that dirty air. Straight through that final corner. Will use for the slipstream onto McLaughlin. He's going to try to lap him. And he will go across the line with 30 seconds left to go. With the lap and the blue flags, not quite much McLaughlin can really do. Been a pretty hectic race, I must say. Flooded with a very dramatic start. Been a few incidents involving Woodmansey as well, and Navarro. I think we'll see Navarro luck turn his form. But fortunate what we have not seen with Francis and Fields being the 2 retirements for, I believe it might have been connection issues with the server. Means that is effectively did take it away from them. But no matter what Phil effectively threw in his way to try and replicate his successes at Imola, Hughes would just not budge, and well, these two have continued on from their long-winded chess game that we have seen previously in back over Imola, and that means that it is a fantastic duel in the Iberian sun, but it will have to crown one winner here through the final quarter, and it's going to be a fantastic pole position 2-race win. It's another feat for Josh Hughes, and it goes across the line to win here at Portimao once again. And a fantastic result indeed for Toyota, as that clinches through their 3rd race win in 4 races here at the Le Mans Ultimate season championship here at RPL. Phil Bailey goes through across the line to finish over through at 2nd. It's going to be very impressive again. Good points overall for him, for himself in the championship. Joe McLaughlin will be over through in 4th. Alex Norris, disappointed from him, but he'll have to be fine with 6th for now, especially with the 2nd pit stop. It could have been much higher, battling up with 4th, but waiting on for just 2 more drivers. The last driver to complete through to the podium, Tian Barrett, done very good. He has managed to recover back from his Imola woes and will be coming through the final quarter in very good fashion. The man that started over for in P5 has done it through here once again, going in through the line. He is going to win. So get to 3rd place here at the Portuguese round here, as waiting over through just 1 more driver indeed, and that will be Williams is actually outing through 14 now, going to be exiting out through 15, and it's a pretty impressive fight that we've seen from the Welshman for his battle with Norris, and out from the final quarter he'll be extremely happy with the 4th place and more points into Peugeot's tally. And that will conclude through our race thus far. So we're going to have a look through to the final race results as it stands. Well, what a fantastic race, I must say. And indeed, Josh Hughes will be extremely happy with that race win through to his name, and then 10 seconds clear of Phil, probably one of the clearest race wins margins that we have thus far. Phil Bailey behind through on second, trying to do much as what he could onto the strategy, but had to just settle in for a second for the time being. Definitely would have worked in other circumstances. Tian Barrett through behind in third. Indeed, very good performance from himself, battling out with Kai Francis and Fields with those two disconnection issues. He remains the sole winner through that podium battle that we've seen from the first lap. George Williams just from behind in fourth with his battle with Alex Norris, and then with Norris coming over through to the pits the second time. So good happens for George. He'll be through on fourth. Joe McLaughlin through onto fifth. Very good there for the debutant of the Aston Martin and the new driver here at the RPL LMU series. And Alex Norris, as mentioned before, was the final of the point scores as he's finished in sixth for the BMW. Good result from him, though, despite the second pit stop they had to suffer with. Cameron Fields and Kai Francis both retired due to connection issues, as mentioned before. Both of them were battling over for the podium places with Barrett, but unfortunately will end up empty-handed. Jordan Navarro ended up with the first lap contact and will post through his second such retirement thus this season. And Will Woodmansey, another retirement. Jordan Navarro retired in the early stages through the race with contact and spin, and Will Woodmansey retired through what best be described as a bit of a skill issue with the double clutch things, but it's fine. We're happy to see you back once we your pedals, I believe, are all repaired. Thank you very much, though, to Brad. Thank you very much to all those that have watched here through the championship. We are going to continue on through to more exciting stuff, but until then, we're going to continue on through, and I'll look for the calendar. And the European leg still continues on fourth. This was conclusion of the midway through that European leg. We're going to join back over on September 28th in the glorious Spa-Francorchamps. It's going to host through week 5 of the Realistic Performance League here at Le Mans Ultimate. We're going to also continue on 4th over at October through Le Mans, but indeed Spa-Francorchamps is going to host the midway point through this season, which is going to be very exciting, and it's an issue through to June to watch, as Josh Hughes is still going to be able to potentially keep hold on to this race winning form that he's got from Qatar, Monza, and now in Portimao. And Phil Bailey does show him that he is a big threat to that championship. Still continuing through with his race win over Imola. Continues on through with the second place at Portimao. And the midfield still look contenders up as George Williams, Tian Barrett still will continue to battle through from there. But until that, thank you all very much for watching. And we'll see you soon over at September 20th at Spa, and we'll see some more Formula 1 action for Tier 3, Tier 2, Tier 1 as well for the rest of the season as well. A bit of out. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.